My name is Kevin. This is the Bible Artist Podcast. I believe the arts can give us fresh eyes to see the significance of the Bible and the beauty of the gospel. And I also believe the Bible can provide the arts with complex characters and stories with profound insight into the human condition. And so I love to meet with Bible artists, Bible creators of various different kinds. And today I'm here with Arve Solli, the head of BibleX, a video game development team that works on games that are inspired by scripture. So Arve, could you tell us a little bit about your background and the origin of BibleX?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Arve. I'm based out of Norway, Oslo, Norway. My background is that I work in something called BCC Media, which is an organization we have been creating media content, animations, live events, staged events for Christian youth camps for about 10 years or something like that. So my background is basically trying to convey the Christian message and Jesus through use of modern media in different types. And for the past 3 years, it has been all about gaming. And how it started out was that we were planning interactive Bible study for Easter 2020. We were preparing for a huge event where they were going to celebrate Easter the Jewish way. They have been reading the letters to the Hebrew earlier on, and they were now about to experience it inside of an interactive 3D model inside of Unreal Engine. So they have been watching animations and doing Bible study about the Hebrews, and in the temple they were going to see the comparisons about the different aspects of the temple. So 3 weeks before this event was going to be held, as all of us know, COVID came and everything was just cancelled. So we were there with a huge event. Actually, we were a bit relieved as well because it was only 3 weeks and we had a lot of work to do. So, the event was not going to happen. It was going to be online, so we couldn't use the full potential of what we have been planning for. So then we were there with a 3D model of Herod's temple, the second temple in Jerusalem, in Unreal Engine, and a lot of resources. And we're thinking, what are we going to do now? So then we took up an idea that have been for a while about creating a video game. And of course, I mean, we're not that far away from creating a prototype actually. So then we started out with concept development. We were a team of 3 people, starting to form a concept, an idea, a story, and about 2 years later, we had a prototype ready, and the same youth group that was going to do the interactive Bible study, they were now it was a diverse youth group, not only with gamers. So this youth group of 5,000 people were now going to be gamers. And they were divided into groups with 4 to 7 peoples, 900 groups about. And they played through our prototype, about 9 hours of gameplay in groups. They used we created a concept called co-play, where one person on the PC and the rest of the group are joining in by their phones. So then they're prepared for this Easter camp with living inside of the ancient Israel and Pesach celebration, and preparing for like interacting with different aspects of it, understanding the context. Why were they celebrating Pesach from earlier on? And what happened when Jesus actually kind of stole the celebration and turned it into also a Christian celebration. So they were learning about this and having fun with experiencing it. So when they came to the Easter camp, they have actually been inside of this celebration for 9 hours already, spread out for 3 months. So yeah, that was the start of the project.
Wow, that's really interesting. And so now you are doing a Kickstarter for Gate Zero. And could you tell us a little bit about what that game is and like the type of game, the plot of it, so on?
Yeah, Gate Zero is the same game we made the prototype for. It's just that it has now gotten a new name and refined everything over and over again with the
Okay.
feedbacks from those people and also feedback from a lot of other people. We have been traveling around talking to different youth ministries and
Hmm.
church denominations to kind of understand what people need to be able to use it as a tool in their youth groups, and also try to understand what families need, what young people need to be able to. I mean, we don't want to like tell them this is a game you are supposed to play. We want them to want to play them themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the story and the plot in the game is you start out in the future, actually in year 2072, in a kind of a dystopian world where
Mm-hmm.
Christianity is not that popular anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you play as a guy called Max, and you and your cousin Hector, which is an inventor. He made a time machine. You have a late grandmother that recently died. She was a really God-fearing woman, and they really looked up to her. She left a riddle for them because she wanted them to understand what Hurl, as they call it, Pearl was. So then they use the time machine and they kind of jump over 2,000 years of Christian divisions and confusion, and and go directly back to the source to hear from Jesus himself, his own words, and to be able to understand and solve the riddles from grandma. So that's also the name Gate Zero. It means their gate and your gate back to the original, back to basic, and back to the first century, back to zero.
Mm. Wow, that's really interesting. I'm curious with the time machine aspect. What's kind of the function of that, or what kind of led you guys to incorporate that into your story?
Yeah, so the idea came quite early on because we the idea behind it is that we think that Christianity and the values from Jesus is the most modern thing we have today,
Mm.
even though it's 2,000 years old. But
Mm.
it's so it's so it's so helpful, and it's helpful in today's society.
Mm.
It's the exact same problems we have that they
Mm.
had back then, and it's the most progressive message ever told.
Mm.
And we wanted to convey this in a way and tell that by putting it into a hyper modern society. So we don't want like to we didn't want the game to be solely yellow and brown
Mm.
stones and people wearing this type of clothing from
Mm.
the olden days only. We wanted to put it in a modern context as well, and
Mm.
tell people that this message is actually in the hyper modern world. It's
Mm.
they have the newest technology. They have they have solved a lot of problems, but there's one thing they haven't solved, and that is
Mm.
what the message from the old and modern message from Jesus can solve. So
Mm.
that's the reason behind the time travel aspect.
Oh, that's really interesting. I really like that as a way of kind of communicating that idea of that the gospel stretches all times and is still relevant
Mm-hmm.
regardless of. Yeah. Oh, that's great. um so this isn't like the very first video game based on the Bible, but I do think it's probably safe to say that biblical video games, they aren't quite as well known or widely embraced as like maybe Bible based movies or TV shows like The Chosen. So say we have like a listener who hasn't played a whole lot of video games and they want to know like kind of what's the value of Christians engaging with the Bible through a game. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course, that's a good question. There's about 3 billion people worldwide playing video games today, and
Hmm.
it's growing, it's increasing. The numbers are rapidly growing. It's extreme. And it's on the other hand, it's also the medium that is you can interact with it. It's not
Hmm.
only receiving; it's also kind of it's back and forth. So
Hmm.
so the way that the way you can interact with the gaming medium has a huge potential in it for telling a story, and that's basically why we do it. There's so many people in this space, and we basically want to reach them. And as a guy we are partnering with, he often says that this might be the only Bible some people read. So we don't want to take people away from reading the Bible, but we think that the game can actually make people want to read. And also when you play a game, you get pictures, you see what it could look like, and when you read later on, you have these pictures in your mind still. So
yeah, no, that's really helpful. Yeah, I think that there's a whole nother way of kind of immersing yourself imaginatively into a space like the story, like the time of Jesus, that
exactly.
I think it's really valuable. So I'm curious, what are some of kind of the unique challenges and to like trying to create that type of interactive experience while kind of weaving in the biblical story?
Of course, it's the, I mean, we put a lot of effort into being biblical accurate, and to there's easy to discuss the Bible and what interpretations are the right ones and stuff like that. So what we usually say that is we want people to play the Bible. So we don't want to for example, all the words from Jesus, we let them stay exactly as they are written in the Bible. We try to use some versions of the Bible that is more verbal and then more like spoken words. But we want to be true to the Bible, and we don't want to change anything. And we also talk to a lot of different denominations and people to be able to understand how we can avoid unnecessary discussions. For example, politics, we don't touch into that. We basically want to go back to Jesus' time and experience it ourselves. So that's what we do, and it's a challenge. It's challenging, but it pays off when we do a lot of work with it.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the value of kind of not focusing on the latest debate or kind of point of division, but just trying to get back to Jesus's core teachings. So
what was his own words about different topics? So okay, let's just hear that, and then people can decide for themselves, basically.
So could you tell me a little bit more about kind of what the process of like choosing kind of biblical stories, and then like how you kind of turn those into like a gaming experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. We decided early on that we want to create all the events from the Gospels.
Okay.
So that's about 134 events there. And we have divided them into different releases and also different game loops or missions. So we are approaching it as they are written, or as like we start when Jesus are about 30 years, and end during Easter 33. And we have some forth and back, but we try to be chronological in the order. And we also try to put them together, some of them, so we are able to actually create them. But you have different. In the first release, you have about 12 game loops. And within those, there are about 40 events from the Gospels.
Okay. And what are like some of the types of gameplay that you like? Could you give me some examples of like the challenges, or like what that looks like from like a gameplay perspective?
Yeah, of course. One thing is that when you become friend with the disciples and Jesus, you also the enemy will also be your enemy, kind of. The Romans are after you, and the Pharisees don't like you, and you have to avoid them, and also distract the Roman guards in the city of Jerusalem and stuff like that. So it's a lot of stealth gameplay, but it's also an adventure game. So you are solving riddles, as I told about the riddle from Grandma, puzzles, and you're basically walking through the story of this of Max and Hector and becoming Max, basically.
Okay. Oh, that's really interesting. Oh. Well, so far it looks like your guys's your Kickstarter is doing pretty well. I saw that you kind of reached your initial goal, and you've got still some stretch goals and some opportunities for kind of additional biblical settings and events and things like that. Could you just tell us a little bit more about kind of how the campaign is going and the reception of your game so far?
Yeah, the campaign is actually going extremely well. We're so humble about this because it was fully funded 100% in 3 days, 79 hours. So last Friday at this exact same time, we were sitting there and watching the numbers, and suddenly there was a guy buying one of the rewards, which is called the pillars of the temple, which is the highest reward you can buy. It's about how much is it again? It's let me see. It's 7,999 euros, which is a huge amount of numbers. So we were at 98%, and he bought this reward, and we were then on above 100. So that was fantastic. So the Kickstarter is going really well, but yeah, on the other side, it's only 2,796 backers, which is a lot, but compared to the potential, it's nothing. So there's 3 billion people playing video games out there, and in the States there are 210 million Christians. And if you kind of compare the numbers and calculate a little bit, it should be at least close to 100. Don't quote me on that, but 100 million Christian people that play video games. So we should be able to have more backers on this. So what we experience is that when we talk to people about it and use time to explain what it's all about, people are just so enthusiastic, and they easily understand the potential and the vision behind the project. So what we do now, 24/7, we reach out to people, talk to them, ask if them can spread the word to their friends and family, and that's all what it's all about, getting this in front of enough eyes, and we can do this together. Christianity, we have superpower when it comes to like community and being able to live together. So it's all about igniting the Christian superpower, basically.
Yeah. So you mentioned how kind of this whole project started with a goal of helping like youth ministry. Are you seeing like churches or youth ministries like wanting to, once the game is finished, kind of utilize your game?
Yeah, we have been talking to a lot of youth ministries, and they can see it used in that kind of way. We are creating the game as a single player experience with the co-play feature, so you can play alone and you can add on people. So it's possible to play it alone, but it's also possible to bring it to your youth group with your friends and kind of use it as a conversation starter. So you can have edifying conversation afterwards, talk about what you have played through. And what we experienced when we did the beta last year was that this was a huge youth group. They are used to gather and have fun, do activities, talk about the Bible, learn about Jesus, and they said that for the first time it was actually the kids that was asking, when are we going to gather next time? Usually it's you have to like send some notifications, send some invitations, remember to come on Friday. But this time it was the kids themselves that were asking the leaders and mentors, when are we playing the game again? Please, can we do it one more time this week? So that's actually our goal, is we don't want to push this on people, but we want them to have to want to play it, basically.
Yeah, I used to work in youth ministry, so I can imagine how exciting that would be for the leaders and stuff to have the kids really, psyched to do that.
Exactly.
I'm curious, if Gate Zero is successful and, it's already a success at some level, but do you have like any other biblical stories or time periods that would be kind of like dream projects down the road?
Of course, we have. I mean, first we have these 4 releases planned out, which is all the gospel stories. But a lot of people ask if we can create something from the Old Testament, which is more action oriented. We would love to do that as well. But we have a dream about making the story of Paul and to be able to join him on his trips around in Europe and Asia. So that's something we want to do if it's successful.
Oh, that's awesome.
When it's successful, I would say.
Yeah, no, it sounds like, you guys are off to a great start, and there's a lot of potential, I feel like, with the story of Paul. Like, I feel like the kind of the stealth dynamic there could also really be cool. So,
exactly.
Well, if listeners want to support Gate Zero, join your Kickstarter campaign, how can they do that?
It's on our webpage, gatezero.game. You can go in there. It's a link to the Kickstarter, or you can just go to kickstarter.com and search for Gate Zero. It's a big poster there you can click, and then you can choose your reward. We have a lot of different things available where you can, of course, get the base license of the game, pre-order it for a good price, and we have a collector's bundle, a lot of other kind of rewards where you can get special skins. You can, if you're an investor, kind of, I mean, it's a non-profit, so we're not able to have like regular investors in that way. But if you want to spread the game, and you can buy a package called the Investor, where you get 10 licenses of the game and can give them away for, if you want to like put it forward to other people. And of course, we have one more of the pillars ready. We have something called Gate Zero's biggest fans, which is there in Hector's headquarters. There are 2 big fans cooling down the time machine. So we sold out that you can put your name on the time machine, on the fan. So those are all gone. They're sold out. But now we have something called the pillar. You can be like the supporting pillars of enabling Gate Zero to stand. So if you have a little bit more money, you can buy that one. But there's plenty of options for people that just want to support in regular ways. So every person counts in, and if you back it and tell your friends, then you have done your job.
Awesome. And when's the projected date for the game, the first release?
Sometime during 24.
Okay.
It's the goal for the first release.
Awesome.
And we have a demo out already, which you can play on itch. So you can download a small portion of the game, which is 20 minutes of gameplay for free now. The link is in our social channels and our webpage, and also on the Kickstarter. So you can just go in there and download it and try a small portion of the game.
Well, I'll try to add that link and the link to the Kickstarter and everything in the show notes as well for people who are listening on podcast.
Perfect.
So thanks so much, Arve. This was really interesting to hear about. It's a really unique and I think important different direction for a biblical adaptation. And I think it'll be really a great way for youth, but not just youth, plenty of adults that play games as well, to engage with the stories of Scripture and just to enter into that in a new way. So thanks so much for sharing with us. And thanks for all of you who are listening. Again, this is the Bible Artist Podcast. Please subscribe for more interviews like this. And you can also visit thebibleartist.com for blogs, Bible studies, other stuff. Thanks, everyone, and Godspeed.